Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we have the brand new Dockyard Premium Ship in port to review for you guys today. The Tier 9 Premium British Battleship, the Marlborough. And I must say, well, first off, I actually must say absolutely massive thank you to the channel's Patreon supporters. There's no way I'd be able to do this without these guys' support. Their monthly donations help fund the reviews on the channel, especially big ones like this that cost a pretty penny to get out early for you guys. So if you want to support the channel, Patreon's the best place to do that besides just watching the videos and the stream. So again, massive shout out to those guys. Oh, and again, of course, I'm not supported nor affiliated with Wargaming in any way, shape, or form. So all these premium ship reviews do have to come out of the ad revenue for the channel or from the very generous donations of these patrons. So again, thank you, patrons, for that. And I must say, the Marlborough, the model work on this ship is fantastic. I'm not sure if it's just the lighting in the port, but it seems to be that this model is very well done. Art department, as always, knocking it out of the park here. I appreciate these King George V style battleships a lot more after I finish the Prince of Wales model build, because man, they don't look like they got a lot of detail, but they really do when you get it all up in the decks here and such. So the Marlborough. Now, a slew of ships that I have been absolutely waiting for have released along with the Marlborough. So we also have the Repulse. Finally, my precious has been added into the game. I cannot wait to get in this ship and get a review out for you guys and her. Probably going to be the next ship on the channel to review. I'm just doing the Marlborough first because there's a couple of starter packs that are time sensitive that if you guys want to save some money on going through the Repulse, if you don't want to grind the missions, you do have to get those in by a certain date. So that's why I'm doing the Marlborough first. Probably do the Repulse here next. And then also too, finally, for those of us that couldn't throw enough money at the auction, the Schlieffen has been released as well. And I again, just so many ships that I've been just dying waiting for them to be added to the game have finally been added in. But we're going to start with the Marlborough here. So today we're going to go through the Marlborough, give you guys a first impressions review of this ship. No commander skills nor modules have been applied to this ship just yet, so we're going to go over her real quick. First off, if you do want to whale through this event, it will cost you upwards of $200 US. That's with buying the early access bundles if you want to do it that way. You do get a lot of stuff with it. You get, I believe, 12,000 coal, then you get 2,000 steel, 4,000 research bureau points. You do get your money's worth out of the event, and the good thing is, too, that you can do this event pretty much for free. I believe you have to buy the last 4 phases, so you have to pay around a little over 6,000 doubloons for a Tier 9 premium ship, a ton of rewards, and stuff that is genuinely worth it. So, the ship itself, the main reward for doing this. Oh, and again, you do get Repulse and Dreadnought in those rewards as well. Alright, so the ship itself, like I said earlier, no commander skills have been applied, nor modules equipped, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at her bare bones right now. So her armor, oh my gosh, she has a strip. That's interesting. 32mm bow. You get a 51mm strip here. You get a 235mm strip right there. 381mm upper deck. Oh, is that the Citadel? It says Citadel armor. Ooh, so it's an exposed Citadel. So 381 upper belt armor, 261mm lower belt armor, 32mm stern with another 51mm strip back here. Transom stern, which, yes, you can absolutely eat pins through that. Rear deck's 32. Main deck is 32 as well. Okay, let's take a look at that Citadel. Oh, that's not good. So, completely exposed Citadel. Good lord. Shoot, is that even more exposed than... Yeah, that's more exposed than Vanguard Citadel. Which people complain that this Citadel, which is just slightly above the waterline, it's too exposed, and then Marlborough's just like, hello, wow, yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so don't show side, or you will get obliterated. It seems. All right, So 76,800 hit points, that's pretty good for a tier 9 battleship. 23% torpedo damage reduction. Now her guns, which are the main feature of this ship, you get 16 14-inch guns with, wow, a 25-second base reload time. Okay, see, I thought the 25-second reload time was with the reload module on. That's 25 seconds base. Whoa. Oh, okay. 45-second 180 time, maximum dispersion of 269 meters, and a maximum range of 20.9 kilometers. The HE does 4,800 maximum HE damage, 24% chance of causing a fire on the target, and then you have 89 millimeters of pin with your HE, and the HE comes out the tubes at 757 meters a second. AP does 10,000 maximum damage, 10,500 maximum damage, and has an initial velocity of 757 meters a second too. Alright, so yeah, this is the main gimmick of the ship, is that you have 16 14-inch guns with a 25-second base reload time, which sounds really good, but this ship does have 1.4 sigma, and its maximum dispersion right now is 269 meters at 20 kilometers. So, yeah, low sigma, not the best dispersion, but 16 guns with a really fast reload time. So, we'll see how that works. So, secondary armament, you get 8 of the standard British battleship secondaries. They have reload time 6.7 seconds, maximum range of 7 kilometers base. That's actually not bad. Maximum damage of 1900, 8% chance of causing a fire, 22 millimeters of armor pin, and 792 meters a second. But I would not fantasize at all at having a secondary build, because you only get 8 of these turrets. There's only 16 guns and 4 per side, and they're probably get knocked out pretty easily. Plus, again, you have that Citadel there, so I wouldn't go with it. It does get the airstrikes. You get 3 flights of the depth charges, and what's the range on it? It is 10 kilometers. Okay, A has a rating of 76, which isn't the best, but not the worst at tier 9. You get 20 of these dual-mounted 40mm Bofors. You get 16 of these, oh yeah, these freaking stacked 40mm Bofors. Then you get the secondaries as dual purpose. Has a maximum A range of 6 kilometers. That's actually really good. That's on the longer side at tier 9 for AA. So, decent range. Interesting. She has a maximum speed of 31.5 knots without the speed flag, a turning circle radius of 860 meters, and a rush time of 16.8 seconds. Concealment base is 14.9. That's actually really not bad. Probably able to get down to around 12 with the module and commander skill equips. So I'm going to go ahead and throw a build on this. I'll meet you guys right. Oh wait, we need to check out her consumables first. Alright, she gets 4 heals base, 383 hit points back per second, 28-second runtime on the hill, reloads in 80 seconds. Damage con is active for 15 seconds, which is pretty nice, and an 80-second cooldown time. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and throw a module and commander build on here, and I'll meet you guys right back here in a second. Alright, so she has been moduled and kitted out. So with my commander build, with a basic battleship commander build, so I went with preventive maintenance, grease the gears, which will speed up the turret rotation time, adrenaline rush, so when you lose hit points, you get a boost to your reload time. Basics of survivability, which gives you a quicker fire extinguishing, flooding time, and faster restoration to your modules. Emergency repair expert, so you get that extra heal in there. Concealment expert, to be a sneaky ship. And then fire prevention, because, well, fires suck. For the modules, I went with main armaments mod 1. Damage con mod 1, because fires suck. Aiming systems mod 1 to try and rein in that dispersion. Damage con 2, because fires continue to suck. Concealment systems mod 1 for extra sneakiness. And then main battery mod 3 for a quicker reload time. So let's see what this has done to the ship now. So now we have a 22-second reload time on 16 guns. Our maximum dispersion is down to 250 meters, but our 180 time is now at 41.4 seconds. Alright, and I did put the fire flag on the ship, so we do have a slightly higher fire chance now. I don't know why I went to the tab and then ignored it. So yeah, you got that going for us now too. Alright, now our maximum speed's up to 33.1 knots. Pretty quick tier 9 ship now by that. I do have the speed flag on. And our concealment is now down to 12.1 kilometers. So what I'm thinking here is with the almost 21 kilometer base range and a 12.1 kilometer concealment, that gives us a fair amount of wiggle room. So I'm going to try and play it like this with that quick reload time to make up for the poor dispersion of the main battery guns, and we'll see how that goes. And I will be joining you very momentarily in the voiceover review session after I take this ship into battle with this build on her and see how it goes. So I will see you guys there for you guys momentarily, for me after a couple hours of playing the ship. Hey guys, voiceover Mountbatten here, and well, the Marlborough. If you want a quick answer, don't spend any money on it. Definitely don't. It's not necessarily a bad ship, but it's not one I would throw money at. The only reason I would throw money at this dockyard is if you want the still that you get for completing the dockyard phases after you buy through the dockyard the first time. So, the actual ship, what are the goods of it? Well, the guns are surprisingly consistent at getting hits on target. Now, that of course comes from them having 16 guns, but despite the low sigma and the low dispersion, it does pretty good with getting shells on target, and it's also quite good at starting fires. It's not quite Thunderer or Conqueror levels of fire starting, at least for the most part. You might get into that match where RNG smiles upon you, and you might start 2 or 3 fires a salvo sometimes. That does happen. It does have a 25% chance of causing a fire per shell, which sounds low, but considering you got 16 guns and a 22-second reload time on these guns with the build that I'm running on this ship, it is decent at starting fires and, of course, quite good at doing damage. If you can survive long enough, you can easily do over 100,000 damage in a match. Now, I say that because this is by far the squishiest tier 9 battleship. There is little to no room for mistakes when you're playing the Marlborough. That Citadel is high and dry, and I paid for it quite a few times when playing the ship for this review. You think you can, show a little bit of ankle here and there, but you really cannot. An easy way to tell if you're angled enough, especially if you're kiting, which is sailing away from the target, like you'll probably see me do in the video you're watching in the background right now, is when your front turrets are no longer on the target. Because this thing has absolutely terrible rear gun angles, which is quite sad for a ship that would be an excellent kiting battleship if it wasn't for that. You have to pretty much show not flat broadside, but definitely more than enough broadside to where you will eat Citadels from just about any battleship you can meet. Maybe bar some of the smaller caliber guns that you can see in like a tier 7 match, but definitely if you're in a tier 9 or tier 10 match, you're going to get blapped if you're getting all guns on target and a ship behind you and they're a battleship with decent caliber guns. And they're not going to blap you for like a quarter of your health. They're going to blap you for probably half of it, if not all of it. Happened to me a few times when playing the Marlborough. You cannot be greedy at all of these guns. So, yeah, the guns themselves are good. The gun angles are bad, and the armor is quite terrible. So besides that, what else is there to the ship? So the concealment is definitely the saving grace here in many a situation. The match you're watching right now, it definitely saves my butt here. Now, you're not watching my highest damage game that I had in the ship to review. That was 167,000 damage in a match, but the match you're watching right now sums up the ship pretty darn well. You can see how I struggle with the rear gun angles, and you can only use the rear 2 turrets a lot, which kind of gimps you on the whole 16 gun thing, so the whole accuracy, the volume thing goes out the window if you have to kite. Now, from bow in, the turret angles are decent. You can angle a bit better when you're bow into the target, but that doesn't happen too much in the Marlborough, because you don't really want to close the gap that much on a target, because again, that armor is just terrible, terrible, terrible for close-in fighting. There's definitely, all the super cruisers can easily delete you if you try to drive by them with just their guns, let alone talking about other battleships. So you really won't be bowing too much unless, you know, you're hiding behind an island or something like that, and it's great for that. But the concealment, that concealment is going to get you out of trouble in many a spot in this ship. Yeah, so it's a rough go. It's definitely a trade-off for the 16 guns with the low reload time. That 22-second reload really does help make up for the dispersion and the accuracy, which, like I said in the beginning, you know, with 16 guns, you're throwing enough crap at the wall to where plenty of it will stick to the wall, but you pay for it in terms of survivability. This is a battleship that cannot tank well. It cannot tank well at all. It's not like Slava levels of can't tank, because, you know, this thing does have a 32mm bow. It's got 32mm plating, so it's, you know, decent plating for tier 9. That massive Citadel is just such a drawback, though. So you have to wind up playing the ship at decently long ranges. Now, I don't recommend putting the range mod on here, because, good God, a dispersion at that range, you probably won't hit much. I think the base range with the reload mod is the way to go, because you get more shells down range at a faster click, and plus with the way that this ship eats damage, if you have Adrenaline Rush, you'll be below half health and you'll have an 18-17 second reload, which is really, 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 really nice. And at that point, you can really be pouring the pain on the enemy ships. And speaking of enemy ships, farming battleships is, of course, beyond easy in this ship. Fighting cruisers can be, depending upon what cruiser you're fighting, pretty easy to pretty difficult. The HE is decent enough to where when you get most of your shells on target, most cruisers are going to feel it. You'll be breaking modules on their ship, and you'll be setting them on fire. Of course, with cruisers, with the burn time, that's not really that big of a deal, but hey, it's HE, it hurts. It's British HE, and it hurts. But the AP, I didn't really use the AP too much, because outside of point-blank range, the guns aren't really accurate enough to do too much with AP. And keep in mind, too, it is 14-inch AP at tier 9, so going up against a decent amount of heavy cruisers at tier 9, especially from tier 9 and above, they have armor that will, you know, for the most part, laugh at 14-inch AP. So sticking with HE is probably the way to go in most cases, unless you can guarantee you can get a Citadel hit. Like, there's one point in here where Nabuki beaches broadside onto me, but I have HE loaded. That would have been the absolute point to fire AP, and I probably would have blasted him off the face of the planet. But against, of course, battleships, just for the love of God, keep HE loaded unless you can guarantee that you can hit most of your shells on them. Then obviously that is going to freaking hurt. Against DDs, the ship is surprisingly good. I mean, I guess not really surprisingly. 16 guns, of course, against DDs with the 22-second reload time is going to really rain the pain down on them. Now, for its maneuverability, I feel this is where they could have made a really decent ship if they had tweaked the maneuverability a little bit here. It feels pretty sluggish for a ship like this. Now, they said it was a mix between the Vanguard and King George V. So if they had given it a rudder shift time more akin to Vanguard's rudder shift, that probably would have made for a more ideal ship. It shows a lot of traits with Vanguard in this regards, because the turrets are fairly slow rotating like Vanguard's. The angles aren't that great. It's got a higher Citadel, and if they had given it, you know, not a sub 10-second rudder shift time like the Vanguard has, but maybe a 13-12 second rudder shift time base, that would have been a bit better, because then you could, you know, snap to the side, get your guns on target, fire, snap back to where you're steeply angled enough to avoid most of the damage. And keep in mind too, even when you're steeply angled enough like you're seeing in the background right now, you still eat a lot of pins. This ship's got a big superstructure. And I found myself many times where I was just in a bad situation and I had to bow tank, and 32mm plating, you'd think, sure, it can bow tank against, you know, anything that's not Yami, Shiki, or Musashi, but they can just chunk you through your superstructure for 8K, 7K quite easily. Now, it does have, I believe it's pretty much Vanguard superstructure, and Vanguard, of course, has that problem too, but Vanguard's always on the move. You have a very maneuverable ship. If they would have tweaked that down a little bit, I think it would have been a very good ship without being overpowered, but they didn't. So, yeah. So overall, this is a pretty memey ship. It's a nice derpy ship, you know, funny 16-inch guns, decent, well, good HE overall, very stealthy ship, but it's definitely not one, like I said at the start of this section, I would not spend money on it. I'd say grind up, get the Repulse, or even if you want to throw some doubloons at the Repulse. I mean, you get the Repulse, the Dreadnought, and quite a decent amount of goodies halfway up the Dockyard event, but I wouldn't spend money to get the Marlborough. It's a memey ship, it's a derpy ship, probably a fun ship to break out in like a triple division. I imagine that would be quite literally hell with the amount of HE rating down on the enemy team, but I wouldn't throw money at it. I don't think it's worth it. It's definitely not the worst Dockyard ship. There's been some that are quite lackluster. This one at least has a, you know, and I don't like gimmicks, but it's got a pretty noticeable gimmick that it's pretty darn good at, that unless they, you know, start reworking HE, isn't going to go away anytime soon, but not one I would throw money at. It's an interesting design. It could have been great if they would have tweaked the rudder shift time a little bit. So overall, I'd give this ship a 6 out of 10. The pros being the high number of guns, good fire rate, decent fire chance, good HE, good concealment, and the downsides being absolutely just paper armor, highly exposed Citadel, not terribly maneuverable. AA isn't that great either. I ran into a couple of CV games, and it's a little bit below, at least it feels like a little bit below, standard British BB AA. Nothing great, nothing terrible. And its lack of a improved heel. That would have been another way, in my mind, to get the ship up to pretty good, darn good status. But right now, it's just okay, nice meme boat, 6 out of 10. If you grind and get it for free, you'll have a nice little meme boat that you can take out with your friends in a div and have some fun with. Other than that, I don't see this ship being competitive in either clan battles or ranked or anything like that. Probably pretty good random battles farmer or British battleship commander trainer, but other than that, I don't see any real need to get this ship. Hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure to drop a like and leave a comment. Subscribe to the channel when we did 35,000 subs. Just passed 32,200 the other day, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you all having a wonderful Thursday, and hope to catch you guys in the next one.